And we're back. We're live. Welcome to the channel, everybody. It's great to see you all back. Happy New Year to everyone out there. And I am really glad that you guys are here. I hope that you brought some great goals with you into the new year. And that's because this is live. For those of you who are watching this on a playback, it might not be the start of the year for you right now. It might not be New Year's. And to you, I still say Happy New Year's because you set a goal back at the beginning of January and you said, this is what I want to achieve this year. Our goal is to help you do that. Our channel here on YouTube is free. It's access to some of the greatest coaching that we can offer you through experience. So I want to say welcome to Precision Elite Training. We're here in our studio today, and we're going to be talking to you about food fallacies. If you were here with us in the last episode, we talked about the quality and importance of sleep and how important it is for hormone regulation more than anything else. Rest, recovery for muscular, for getting healed up after a good workout. That's important. And a lot of people think that's what sleep's for, but that's one of the least amounts of recovery part is for muscle recovery. You actually get far more out of hormonal recovery and central nervous system. So watch that episode if you haven't already. Today, I've got some great new, exciting notes for everybody. And so you're going to want to grab a pen and paper. But before you do that, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and make sure that you become part of our Precision Elite Training family. I've been blessed to get to do this for years now, 25 years and growing through the fitness industry. As my first client was for me myself to lose 80 pounds. I know I've said that a bunch of times. It's not to brag. It's to show you that anyone can do this. I didn't come from any specific, spectacular blessing in genetics or anything like that. I didn't come from abundance of access to fancy equipment or, tons of knowledge or a family that was fit. I actually came from a family where a lot of folks have passed away due to health choices, to things they had done along the way that they could have done better and could have lived a lot longer and had a lot happier life. And they'd still be with me today so that I could celebrate those types of things with them. But instead, they're gone. And unfortunately, I didn't have the knowledge I have now to be able to help them. So what I would genuinely love to do is help you. Let me do that. Let me be part of your journey and subscribe to the channel so that we have that journey together and you become someone who comments and changes the game for others. You inspire those around you. So let's keep it short and simple. Let's keep it sweet and to the point. Thank you guys so much. If you know someone who would benefit from the information we share, go ahead and let them know by sharing this link out to them and tell them to subscribe to the Precision Elite Training channel here on YouTube. So today's course is going to be about common food fallacies, or foods that people think are good for them, but aren't actually that great. And so you know what I'm talking about. A lot of times there are foods that are labeled a certain way, foods that are marketed a certain way. And just by telling you and leading you in the direction that they're healthy is going to make you believe or think that that's a good choice for you. And for Pete's sake, we're going to start with orange juice or juices, fruit juices. That's the first one you're going to want to write down on your sheet as a food fallacy or one of these what we call health halo items. You know what I'm talking about when I say health halo? Those ones that kind of have the doing something bad but put the little angel emoji. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, I'm always good. Angel emoji, right? Well, the health companies are now being paid in a lot of circumstances to put a health check on a food that isn't necessarily of the healthiest ingredients. They're being paid to market a certain way, even when they don't align or believe it, with what's being offered as a product. So let's keep in mind that not everything we see out there is genuine and authentic. And I'm going to try to help you out today by giving you a few things to watch for. First food fallacy. First thing is fruit juice. The misconception is fruit is healthy, therefore the juice must be healthy as well. A lot of times what is healthy about it is the fiber inside the fruit, which is usually in the pulp or the material of the fruit, as well as the micronutrient, which will be your vitamin or mineral that's coming from it that's been extracted from the soil. When you juice, you've drained out all that quality and you're left with nothing but the sugar, for the most part, and the water, for the most part, from that fruit. And so now you've lost the quality of what fruit was supposed to be for. And now we're telling you this: eat fruit, don't drink fruit. The difference is going to be, how many fruits do you think it would take to make one glass of orange juice? How many oranges do you think you'd have to squeeze? Have you ever tried squeezing an orange? Squeeze one into a glass and see what you get. You'll be lucky if you get a quarter of a cup, right? And so now you're going to say, how many more oranges would you have? That'd be like 4 oranges to make a cup if you got a quarter cup out of one. Now, I'm not even sure, because you might get less than that. Might take 5 oranges. And how many grams of carbohydrate and sugars and calories are in just one orange? You could end up with about 28 grams of carbohydrate per orange. So the point I'm making here is, it's marketed as healthy to have a breakfast with orange juice, apple juice, whatever your juice is. You pick the juice, pick the fruit, right? At the end of the day, all you're consuming is an overabundance of calories and sugar that you are not going to benefit from. You're actually going to have a harder time losing weight drinking your fruit. Make sure that you eat your fruit and immediately stop drinking your fruit. Removing all the fiber is not going to help you, and removing those nutrients isn't going to be what you're trying to get out of fiber. So typically high in sugar, low in nutrients. Do your best to avoid intake of fruit juice as much as possible. Now, it doesn't mean that if there's choice between a high sugar soda and a glass of juice, that the juice wouldn't be the better choice. But at the end of the day, a glass of water would be better than both. If you had the option to go to water, which almost everywhere you're going to get an option to go to water if there's no other options. But at the same time, if there has to be a lesser evil, right, then you decide. This is not to tell you what to do. It's to show you that there are paths and options, but also guide you so you don't hit all the road bumps along the way. So there's your first one. The second one is any product with the buzzword, or those words where they use things like organic. I've put down here on the notes, natural is another one I see a lot. Fat-free. Okay. Now, for some people, fat-free usually means this is a good thing because it's going to lower the calories. When fat is at 9 calories per gram, if they take the fat out of the product, the calories are going to be lower. And the answer is yes, that's true. But to take the fat out takes a lot of the flavor out. And so if they take the flavor out, what do they have to do to get the flavor back? Oh, talking about the world of processed food. Processed food, the objective here is to make it palatable, number one. So you buy more, make it highly addictive. And what is the most palatable and highly addictive thing out there? It's sugar. So do you think that if they lower the fat, they're going to have to raise the sugar? Almost every single time. Guaranteed. So you're trying to avoid sugars. You're trying to cut down on calories. You're trying to be healthy, and you go fat-free. This is a fallacy. This is a misconception. When they take the fat down, you are not getting a healthier product. In fact, you would have been better to go with the higher fat content. Use those calories, probably getting some good quality fats from the product. Most often, you're going to find that it's better to go with higher fat than it is to go with the low fat option and the high sugar. Look more for low sugar to no sugar, right? No sugars or even artificial sweeteners if they need to be, to reduce to that 0 calorie, 0 sugar, and not be a high fat not be a high sugar content. So watch out for low fat, because that is misleading, misconception right there when it comes to food label. All right. So the notes I made on this one was, when you go down the health aisle of the supermarket, watch out for the things that read fat free, because again, there's going to be a lot of sugar added to those products. All right. So the next one, as we go into number 3 on this list, you're going to find that granola is another one of those healthy for you because it's marketed as such a high fiber item. I've seen so many clients come to me and say, Coach, I got these granola bars and I'm using those as my snack. Okay, so let's talk about granola as the how the hell did they stick it together bar, right? Think about this. So although it's delicious and has a bunch of delicious and nutritious sounding ingredients, they might mix the granola with all kinds of little cranberries and raisins and all these little nuts and seeds and things you've heard are good for you. So you start to believe in this product as a health option. It's even got the green check mark on it, and from brands that you recognize. So all of a sudden you're falling victim to the misconceptions and the misleading marketing. Granola bars. Okay, so this can actually be an absolute physique killer. I've seen people have an abundance of calories. They've had a nasty time trying to drop weight, eating this type of thing, thinking it's a good, quick snack. It's not, and here's the reason for it. Often loaded with sugar are actually causing it to be low in fiber. There's not nearly enough. What they're saying has fiber. It's not necessarily high fiber by any means. There are far better choices out there. All right. And in the amount of calories you're going to consume in one of those little bars, most of which coming from the carbohydrate side of things, if you're not the most active individual, you're not really using a lot of that readily available sugar that your body can use, that glucose for muscle contraction and activity. So if you're not actually if you're just sitting at a desk at work and you're pounding back granola bars, you're actually going to be putting the weight on, not taking the weight off. Now, again, we're not saying then don't eat. We're saying find better options, right? Because if you really want granola, check on the packet. And if it's possible, try to keep the serving small if you have to have that particular thing. But, if you're looking for a great breakfast option, I would immediately say, why not move away from that and get into oats if you had to. Get yourself some natural oats the best you can, and maybe even put protein powder, a scoop of protein with your oats. That's a great tip that most of my clients have massive amounts of success with. Get away from granola bars because they stuck that together with a bunch of that high fructose corn syrups and those different, sticky ingredients, high sugar, and then high calorie to end up making what you've been marketed to as a very healthy item. All right. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen these things before. So could there be an option to maybe switch to a protein bar? How many of them have marketed themselves as granola bar with protein? And it says 10 grams of protein. Did you know that, in basically meal goals, as far as protein goes, you should be shooting for like 30 to 40 grams of protein in a meal. Now, it doesn't matter if you're man or woman, if you're, 200 pounds or 150 pounds or 100 pounds, you should be making protein your priority. And we've talked about this a little bit throughout our course in these 10 sessions that we're going to be doing here. But it's really important if you want to see muscle gains and healthy longevity, and you're doing any exercise at all, you're going to want protein to be there because protein is the rebuilding, the repairing. It's your nutrient that's going to help you rebuild your cellular level. So those daily destructions of cells need to be repaired. Protein does that. And here we are talking about granola, where they're marketing to you that it's loaded with protein. 10 grams of protein is not loaded with anything other than sugar in that bar. All right. And I say that with confidence because I've seen so many of these bars come and go, none of which last. People who are getting power bars, sport bars, those are loaded in carbohydrates, guaranteed. And your protein is actually the lower of the two. So when we talk about the macronutrients, let's get into finding protein-based macronutrient bars, and then very little carbohydrate, very little to no sugar at all to use to make that bar hold. That's where you're going to find success. So if you need a quick replenishing bar you can throw in a bag to take to work or a purse or wherever you're going, look for good quality protein bars. They're out there. And I'm not saying live by these by any means. Don't work on supplements alone. You need food first. Prepare some meals and you will succeed. Bring small snacks and you will succeed. In our coaching program, we give detailed grocery lists. We give detailed snack options and so many other ways to succeed so that when you're at work, you're at home, you're on vacation, wherever you are, you're getting the protein and you're succeeding with everything you need and not falling victim to quick fixes and things like granola bars. So that is end of rant on granola. Let's move to the next one, which is number 4, flavored yogurt. You're going to hear this a lot. Yogurt, dairy, good for you. Dairy and especially yogurt, you're going to hear is high protein, full of protein. And the answer is no, it's not. Greek yogurt is full of protein, but regular yogurt is not. And regular yogurt most often is fixed up with fruit. So now you've got an abundance of sugary syrups that they've added to this most of the time. They may claim it's made with natural, real fruit. That could be true too, but it doesn't mean that that's the only sugar in there. They may have actually added more sugar than even that little bit of fruit they put in there. But at the end of the day, if you want to get the protein from yogurt, get Greek yogurt, and don't be mixing it with fruit that's put in by the companies who processed and manufactured it. Now you're just asking for more sugar, more palatability. Because have you ever tried any dairy without sugar? Okay. It would be so sour, so bitter. So here's what I would say. If you are purchasing plain Greek yogurt, you're going to get great protein value from that. You will be able to use this as a sour cream alternative because it is sour. There is no sweetness to plain Greek yogurt at all. It has a bitter, sour taste, just like sour cream. In fact, I use that on things where I would want sour cream. Even in making my own homemade dips, I will use Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. Such a great fix right there, major hack. But at the end of the day, you could take a scoop of your protein powder once again and put that into your Greek yogurt. Now you mix that in together, you're going to get the flavor and sweetness of your fruit protein powder. For example, you have a strawberry protein powder or a vanilla or a chocolate. Imagine putting that into your Greek yogurt, and now you have a flavored pudding you can enjoy. And I say pudding because that's kind of what it turns into by the time you mix it together. Now you're not buying some artificially processed, high sugar, ADHD recipe for disaster in what they call pudding at the store when you could build your own healthy version of it just like that. So I hope you're getting some value out of this video, and I hope you're getting excited knowing that we're fixing up some of the fallacies that have led you astray, some of the food misconceptions and myths that are out there. And so flavored yogurt with these fruit bottoms in the cup, stop buying those and start creating your own. Now, if you don't want to use protein powder in your yogurt, that's fine. A half a cup of Greek yogurt still has about 15 grams of protein in it. A full cup gives you 30. That's what I'm talking about. You want to have a full meal of protein, you could have a full cup of Greek yogurt. Then cut up your favorite strawberries or blueberries or raspberries or whatever, and put that fruit in. Natural. We're not talking about fruit juice. We're talking about real fruit. Throw that in there and mix it together. You could make a smoothie out of this. You see where we're going? In our courses with our clients, this is what we talk about. We give you these recipes. We give you these keys to success. And we get you away from things like flavored yogurt with this whole, yogurt has probiotics, good for your gut health and good for your overall weight loss. And again, if you're consuming an abundance of calories and you're bringing in a ton of addictive sugar and you want more, one little cup isn't enough. Now you're starting to pack on 3, 4, 5 of these cups. You're addicted to them thinking they're healthy. And at the end of the day, all you've done is go down the wrong path to where you wanted to end up. Success is going to be in doing the right things more frequently. And there's room for a little bit of a treat here and there, or a little stray away from what is the good whole food approach. But man, you could be doing so much better if you just watch videos like this and you start to write down the information and then you visit those notes you made and start to apply the homework. All right. So that being said, I want to get to the next one, which is cereal and cereal bars. Okay. Now we've talked a lot about the bars already. So you're going to see that cereal is also marketed as healthy for some cereals, not all of them. Let's just talk about for a second about the cartoon boxes for the kids. Every one of those is off limits as far as health. Okay, as far as healthy goes, they are loaded, absolutely loaded with all the wrong things. I can't even claim health in any of those different types of cereal. Are they tasty? Absolutely. It's basically sugar in milk or sugar water, and you're consuming that as a soup. So it's literally a sugar soup is what you've got when you have cereal. And you're wondering why the kids are having a hard time at school, why they're crashing after lunch, or even if they make it to lunch, why your kids are struggling to have an attention to learn anything. They're all over the place. They want to run around the classroom like Tasmanian devils. It is all coming from the high sugar in those breakfast cereals. Stop buying those. Stop buying breakfast cereals. I'm telling you, get towards healthier options. But here's the thing. Some of the cereal companies are getting that check mark on there, or they're giving you that food fallacy, that misconception that they have a healthy cereal for you, which is now going to be with real wheat or real grain or Rio, whatever it is. They're telling you this has fiber. This cereal even has protein. This cereal, and again, you're looking at the numbers and you're saying these numbers don't add up to the claims they're making, because at the end of the day, the numbers are far too low for what we're trying to achieve here. And if you're getting more protein from the glass of milk that you're putting in your cereal than you're getting from the protein cereal they've claimed, you haven't won this battle at all. The two of them together still aren't even hitting the protein goal that you're trying to achieve. Okay, so I don't want to demonize food. I just want to lead you back towards the right direction, and don't fall victim to the cereals that have those types of things on them. Those names like we talked about, where I had marked down some of the misconceptions, those buzzwords like organic and natural and fat-free and paleo and gluten-free and all these different things they're trying to use. Okay, so when it comes to cereals, they are usually very, very nutrient deficient, but they're very calorie dense. So you'll notice you'll get an abundance of calories with no nutritional exchange. The greatest investment I could ask you to make in your nutrition is going to be to invest in foods that give you nutrients more than they give you even calories. If you could get more nutritional value out of a lower calorie option, you can see that at the end of the day, you're going to have a calorie deficit and you're going to have a body that can thrive on the nutrients you've provided it. That right there could change the game for you. That one statement, looking for nutrient dense food with low calorie versus completely nutrition deficient and high calorie foods, which are mostly processed options. So if there's 2 boxes of cereal on a shelf and you notice that one of them is very low calorie and one of them is extremely high calorie, and you flip those over to look at the protein and the carbs and the sugars, which, you know what, we're going to talk about in the next episode. Number 9 this week, we're going to look at food labels. I'm going to go deeper into this conversation about what to look for on a food label. You're going to start to see, and this is actually a look at a food label right there. And we're going to talk about food labels next week. So don't miss this next coming episode. But this conversation is leading right into that. Food fallacies and the health halo, making you think that something's healthier than it actually is so misleading. And cereals have been known to do this. They've stripped the nutrients, and some of the brands even fortify, like trying to add nutrients back in after they've stripped it down so bad. So it might even say fortified with, and they're trying to put nutrients back in to a product they've completely destroyed and taken out through the processing. And again, I'm going to say this, as we've said all along, the biggest killer in all this is sugar. And you can guarantee when you flip those boxes of cereals around, even the ones that say with fiber, with protein, healthy option, are still high in sugar. Just like we say, if you look at a glass of milk, I think 8 ounces, give or take, is probably going to have 6 or more grams of sugar in a glass of milk. Usually you put that in with your cereal, maybe even 2 glasses of milk. That would be, if it's 8 grams of sugar, that's 16 grams of sugar in 2 glasses of milk. 2 glasses of milk usually fills your bowl with your cereal. Now, let's just say your cereal already has 12 grams of sugar or 10 grams of sugar. Notice that now you're already up in the 20 grams of sugar range between your milk and your cereal. And here we are talking about a world where everybody is far too loaded up on sugar. We're having a higher degree of, Alzheimer's, dementia, blood, diabetes, and kids with ADD and ADHD and all of these diagnosed autoimmune diseases that all come back to cells attacking themselves because they're so dependent on sugar. The body isn't even producing its own regulation. And again, I could go off on an absolute rant and tangent here. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you, we really have to cut back on products that are loaded with sugar. And we already know that carbohydrates create good sugars, and there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates, but it's the artificial sugars, the things they've added in, that are making it worse. Okay, so there's still some good carbs out there that are going to give you sugar that the body can convert and utilize into muscle contractions, which is my favorite thing to do as we weight train together and we strength train in some of these precision elite training programs. I've taken the time to design some of the greatest programs I've ever been able to put together based on experience. When it comes to lifting, you need to understand that lifting is about muscle movement patterns and then overloading that pattern so it can get stronger. Building muscle, building strength, building longevity. all of which needs good, healthy nutrition to replenish the work you put in. What if every time your body's asking for replenishment, you're putting in a highly sugar-filled bucket of sugar soup? That's where cereal comes in my opinion. So let's move on. The next one, nuts and nut butters. Absolutely delicious. One of my favorites. Often loaded with hydrogenated oils. And the problem there is going to be the trans fats. There's a whole conversation to be had about fats because there are some very good fats your body needs. You do want to have a good amount of saturated fat. You do want to have a great amount of unsaturated fat, but you want to completely eliminate trans fats. Trans fats are those man-made ones that were oily, but turned into a solid at room temperatures. They've added and they've hydrogenated in the process to make something hard at room temperature that is normally an oily. So think like margarine, for example, really good example of that. So you take the oils of that. Once you melt it down, it's just nothing but grease and watery, and then you put it back in room temperature and it hardens. These are not products you want to get into. And they're not going to help your arteries by any means. If you're having cholesterol issues, it's not because of your dietary cholesterol. It's because of things like this that are putting fat into the bloodstream directly. So let's get away from trans fats altogether. And again, with our coaching courses, we take the time to break down your journey and talk about what you're going through, because maybe your journey is a little different, and usually it is, from somebody else's. The end principles will remain the same, but how we apply them, that's going to be a lot of question and answer we have to go through. As I ask you the questions, you provide the answers, and we come up with the solutions to avoid things. That's why it's so valuable to have coaching. But at the same time, I really want to make sure that you understand that there are some things that are just baseline, get them out of your way, out of your path. So here's another one as we talk about one of my favorite things in the world, peanut butter, right? Peanut butter is part of this nuts and butters category. And so there's nothing wrong with nuts. And again, I love peanuts and the oil you're getting from peanut oil, right? Apart from the fact they're extremely easy to overeat, peanut butter is fantastic. But that is the problem. It is easy to overeat. And they've even added some sugar to the peanut butter to make it a little bit more tasty. Because have you ever had natural peanut butter? Have you ever had the kind that's not Kraft or one of the name brands where the peanut butter is literally underneath the oil layer when you open the container? You know what I'm talking about? Some of you have had that before. Is that the healthy way to go? Absolutely. Is it the tasty way to go? Absolutely not. And so I'm someone who absolutely loves peanut butter, and I still buy the one with I believe it's 6 grams of sugar per tablespoon of peanut butter. The key here is you have to know yourself and know what triggers you. Can you stop with one serving? If you actually take a scale and you measure a serving of it, you're going to notice that it's not a lot. And you're spreading that on one piece of toast and that's it. Or you're putting that on one rice cake and that's it. Or you're using it for whatever. But some people can eat right off the spoon, peanut butter, and the next thing you know, you're 3, 4, 5 tablespoons in. The amount of calories and the amount of sugar you just consumed makes peanut butter one of those things that could be an absolute detriment to your weight loss program. And that's not good. That's not what we want. So I'm not saying peanut butter is as bad as some of the other options that we've talked about on this list today, but there is a fallacy in it because people think peanuts are healthy, therefore peanut butter should be, and you don't really pay attention to the BLT. Now you think BLT, is that bacon, lettuce, tomato? No, it's bites, licks, and tastes. Because when you get that spoon, you can't just knock it off. You're going to have to lick it and, and take all the peanut butter off that right to the last drop, right? You're consuming every little thing. When you're cooking and making things, there are bites, licks, and tastes that we have to account for. So we can end up eating half a jar of peanut butter in one sitting, and that's not going to help with the calorie control. So remember, when it comes to fat in the nuts and seeds conversation, it's easy to sit down and eat some of your favorite nuts. Okay. You could have walnuts and pistachios or almonds. You could have macadamia nuts. These are all very, very good nuts and seeds, but they're so easy to take a handful. And here's the deal, 200 calories in just a third of a cup, which is usually about 30 grams or a handful. That's it. Like literally what you could hold in the palm of your hand in nuts is going to be about 200 calories of nuts or seeds. Now, if you think about that, that can add up pretty fast if you're having multiple of those in a day. So this is why I want to kind of caution you. There are 9 calories in a gram of fat. So it's easy to overeat those. So one of the things I give clients is a bit of a goal. If you have portions done in advance, almost like meal prep, you can then control the amount you have. So maybe one of the homework tasks, if you do love nuts and seeds that you're going to use in your diet, that's great. But give yourself some Ziploc sized bags instead of the one big container it comes out of. Because if you keep putting your hand in the container, that's like in the cookie jar, baby, you're going to end up with a lot of calories at the end of the day, even if they are healthier calories. Okay, so 1 level tablespoon of peanut butter can be about 150 calories, and 1 tablespoon is barely enough to spread across your piece of toast, as I was talking about. So that's what makes it so easy to overeat. Now, I don't want to harp on on peanut butter too long. People do get the misconception, though, that peanut butter offers protein, because it does. There are some proteins in there. But when you look at what we're going to talk about next week, nutrition labels, you're going to see that the protein is not outweighing the fats. And the fats are the high calorie part of it. So you got to look at what the food is that you've chosen. What are you mostly getting out of it? And have you been lied to as to what it's supposed to be? If it says on it, high fiber food, and you realize that fiber is actually very low, you should be looking to get about 5 grams of fiber, 3 to 5 grams of fiber in a serving of a particular food, if it is claiming to be a fibrous food. If you look at it and it's got 1 gram of fiber, that is not high fiber. Okay, you're going to get a lot more out of other items. You could get more 1 piece of fruit could offer you 3 to 5 grams of fiber. But this fiber bar has 2.5 or 2 grams of fiber. Ooh, and they're claiming this is a high fiber product. You see what I'm talking about? Food fallacies, misleading misconceptions. Health halo is like doing a bad thing and putting the emoji on with the little angel saying, see, we got you. We tricked you. Not going to happen with our Precision Elite training clients. Not going to happen with you. So let's keep everybody focused on food fallacies, because that's what today's about. That's what this week's about. Better choice, strict portion control. If you can't control yourself, which is me with peanut butter on the last thing, then avoid the entire product completely, which goes back to everything we've talked about. So, when we right from the beginning, the fruit juices, the foods with buzzwords, the granola, the flavored yogurt, the cereals, and then nuts and butters, we really have to be careful. If you can't control yourself around those products, eliminate them completely. If we go back to each one of those and we can completely eliminate them, you win. If you can't eliminate them completely, you do have to learn to portion control. Maybe Ziploc bags is the answer for you, or little small glass containers that you can put things in, since today we're starting to worry more about microplastics and plastic all around. So maybe move towards glass containers and start to portion things out. Okay, I'd love to see that for you. But that's all that I wanted to cover today. So here are your points of action. Is using portion control will be today and this week's goal. Going into the products you have, clean the cupboards out. We talked about this before, but now you know even more about cleaning out the cupboards. I want to see you guys succeed. I genuinely want to help. And making sure that you go this week and portion things out could really be the benefit to you. Also, if you're taking in granola bars and things like that, look on the back of those. If you think you're getting protein, check and see if you're getting somewhere in the range of 20, 25, or 30 grams of protein. If not, that isn't a protein bar. It is a very low protein, maybe 10 or 12 grams, and it is a very high carb bar, which is going to be packed with sugars. Check that out. You'll see that. And they've been sticking it together with stuff that you don't want in your body. Okay. A lot of times it's going to come down to those different oils that they're using that harden at room temperature that we talked about, those trans fats, dangerous stuff. And remember, at 9 calories a gram, those fats add up quickly if you're trying to keep yourself in a caloric deficit, which we talked about in a previous week about energy balance. So if you're eating more in than you're burning out, you have more calories left over. Therefore, the body will store and you will end up gaining weight. If you burn off more than you take in, you're at a deficit of energy and you will lose weight. But the key is, are you losing weight and losing all your muscle mass, your water, and all your healthy items of your body at the same time? That's a question I have to ask you, because if you don't know the answer to that, then you're probably losing muscle along the way. And if weight loss is all you're chasing and you're not actually chasing health, then you're losing in the battle. And I want you to know that, because health isn't going to last if all you're chasing is loss. You need to chase gain. And next week, I'm going to talk to you about gaining by reading nutrition labels, so we can actually have a demonstration of going to the store, flipping containers, flipping boxes, and looking at the label to see what we are learning about each food before we buy them. You could make a smarter choice before you even leave the grocery store. And we'll talk about that next week. I can't wait for you guys to come back and join us. I love being here live with you. As I said, this is live, so there's no editing here. There's no going back and fixing it. If I said something or misspoke or whatever, I got to go back and look at those things. I'm going to read those in the comments, but please be kind if you're commenting. All right. Let us know if it's helping you. My genuine authenticity here is that I want to help you. I want to see you succeed. I want 2025 to be your year because that's the year I'm recording this in live. But this video is going to be around for years to come. So if it's 10 years from now and you're still watching this video, I hope this helped you. And I'll see you guys next week as we talk about food, nutrition labels, and we are one more week away from wrapping up this free coaching seminar in 10 weeks. So this week, your homework is to go out there and take the foods out of the diet we talked about that are food fallacies. I hope you learned about the myths and things that are misleading, but I want you to portion the things you are using down to smaller servings, try to reduce the sugars and find healthier options towards more protein and less sugar. And I'll see you next time.